welcome once again to another edition of the Shillong Times presentation, Let's Talk, a platform where we give opportunities to speakers and everybody, all the stakeholders, to debate and discuss the current topics at hand and so many issues that is facing by the state. Well, today, last week we had taken the issue of the railways and what is preventing railways from coming into the Khasi Jaintia hills of the state. And we brought in speakers. They spoke their heart out. And, you also on the other side did, make a lot of noise and did make a lot of comments also and spoke your minds as well. I hope that this time too you will be doing the same, because we have taken a very, very important topic once again in this edition of Let's Talk, and that is about the Northeastern Hill University. Yes, the Northeastern Hill University, a premier educational institution of the state, of the region, I can dare say, lately has been in the news, in the focus for all the wrong reasons. So we need to understand what is going on with this premier institution, what is ailing this institution over the last several years, and which was supposed to be a center of excellence. That was a promise that was made to us. So what has been going wrong since then? To speak about it, we are being joined by a very esteemed panel here with us, and I am here right to my extreme left. May I introduce Dr. Sumarbin Umdor, who is the professor from the Department of Economics from the Northeastern Hill University. We are also being joined by Dr. Lakhon Kma, who is the professor from the Department of Biochemistry and who is also presently the president of NEHUTA, or NEHU Teachers Association. We also have with us Shri Rudi Warjri, who is a former ambassador and also the part of the 3-member panel of the selection committee for the Vice Chancellor here in NEHU. And we are also being joined by Madam Patricia Mukhim. She is a senior journalist as well as the editor of the Shillong Times. Well, thank you, each one of you, for coming to the studios here. I know you all have very, very busy schedules, but in spite of everything, you have made an effort and given us your time to be in this panel today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I would like to begin by addressing my very first question, actually, and this is a question that is open to everybody, but I would like to begin this with Dr. Sumarbin Umdor. Sir, the Northeastern Hill University, a premier educational institution, as I've just mentioned, of higher learning, is sadly, in the news for all the wrong reasons. We are hearing of, hunger strikes, agitations, boycott calls by all the stakeholders, by the students, by the teachers, and lately even the non-teaching staff of the university. And now the latest being an indefinite closure of the university. What are the reasons that all the stakeholders are so aggrieved, so agitated? And don't you think that these kind of situation is taking the sheen off from this premier educational institution?
Thank you for having me. I'm reminded of a line from the Bible which says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" This is the same thing that people are asking nowadays. Can anything good come out of, the NEHU? I want our viewers, especially the young viewers, to know that, in the past, NEHU was very among the best universities in the world. Some of the department like Department of Chemistry and the Sciences, they are among the best in the country. Right. But sadly, over the years, I agree with you that the sheen has come off, but there's also a lot of good things happening. The viewers should know that if you look at NEHU, it is not just the PG department. If you look at the UG, the affiliated colleges, right now we are implementing in this semester, the 3rd semester for UG, under the new curriculum structure, courses called the VTC, Vocational Training Courses. And we are offering as many as 26 different vocations to the students, which they'll be learning across 3 semesters. And I've just had a review meeting with the principals day before yesterday. And there's a lot of enthusiasm among these students for these courses. Because the situation in Meghalaya. Right. My estimate says that out of 20,000 graduate, at the most 2,000 get absorbed in some sort of employment, formal employment. For the rest of the 80%, where do they go? So there is also something good that is happening. We are producing a lot of PhDs. Some of our, teachers are doing very well. Very good research is happening. But on the administration side, I do agree with you that there's a lot that is wanting. And basically, if I have to summarize, it's about two things. One is, when you have administrators who come out here and who don't understand what is the role of a university, of an administrator in a university, because an administrator in a university is a facilitator, for teaching, for research, for learning, extension activities. He's not a power center, So that is the thing that I've observed over the years, that, it is about the leadership attitude that we have. If you are coming from the perspective that, this is a power leadership, that all power flows from me and whatever I say will work, will have to be followed, that will not work in a university because it's a flat, horizontal, sort of institution. And the other thing is the culture thing. You see, you're in a tribal society where people will not take you. We don't have that, caste system or hierarchical system where whatever you say, the boss say will be taken, whether it's, even if it's not as per rule. So here there will be resistance. And I think these two things are very important for any administrator who comes to, to university, and to a university in a tribal area like ours. And not only tribal area, but to a university in a tribal area, and that to NEHU, which has a long history where the stakeholders, the primary stakeholders, be it the student, the non-teaching and the teaching staff, are very aware of their rights. And they will resist. They will, you see, what I often say is this, that every VC in NEHU gets a honeymoon period of 2 years. That honeymoon period is a period where he can build relationship. But if he doesn't use that honeymoon period in a proper way, he thinks himself as a power center, that naturally you'll find that in the next 3 years there'll be opposition. And this is what has been happening. Not only this, we see in the previous terms also.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, sir. Let me just bring in Dr. Lakhon Kma. You are the president of the NEHUTA, and the Teachers Association also have been pretty aggrieved for various reasons. And, and the problem of NEHU is not from today. It has always been plagued by certain kind of situation. I remember some decade ago with the HASA, also implementation of HASA and, facilities not being provided to the students, etc., mismanagement, and latest being that one is bringing intellectually, not so, upright people to hold important positions, as if we don't have any academically inclined or of that caliber within the university. And so much so that shrill of protest have gone so far up to the PMO, to the president level also. The latest being, what I read is that they have even written to the president of India. Why should this become the plight of this institution, sir? Please elaborate a little bit to us and bring to light what is going on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, that question, the answer probably is several pages, but I'll try to really restrict it and make it short. Well, the history of NEHU we all know. I mean, we don't have to go. And we had the best of vice chancellors in this university. And the recent times, you will remember, let's say, our Professor Pakim, then of course Professor Miri, then of course Professor Tandon, and then Professor Rai. Since then, I think almost 6 years of Srivastava and say about 3 years of now of Shukla. I think this 9-10 years has been the downfall, I would say, as far as universities are. Simply because, the kind of vice chancellors that we are getting now, you won't believe, and it reminds me of a program in NEHU where our honorable governor was the chief guest, the earlier governor, Satyapal Malik, and in presence of this vice chancellor, he have just joined, I think, probably a month or so. He said, and I remember very clearly that, please, vice chancellor, don't mind. The kind of vice chancellors that we get today are not fit to be headmaster of primary school. And today, I can very, very proudly say that 3 years down the line, under this particular vice chancellor, I think he has only proven everybody right that he is not fit even to be the headmaster of a primary school. Anyway, but the genesis, we'll not go into the details of what he has done because there are too many of them. But interesting, what we have to, I think the viewers have to understand is, he is supposed to be the one who is protecting the interests of NEHU, and he must uphold the dignity of NEHU. Right. But in these last 3 years, we have time and again found out that he is the greatest violators of our Act, statutes, ordinance, rules and regulation. Indeed, he is the top, and I can cite you n numbers of examples where he has violated, and Naturally, when the head of the institution is the one who is not upholding the rules that is supposed to be followed, then naturally, there will be chaos. And that's where you will see that he undermines the importance of academic council. He undermines the importance of executive council. He undermines the committee that he has constituted. And they have given the report and academic council has approved it, yet he is not going to implement it because he doesn't like it is against the teaching staff or against the non-teaching staff, and hence he would not implement. Now, what I'm trying to say is that this person, because of his lack of understanding, and I fully agree with Umdor, of how a higher institute is supposed to function, particularly a university of our kind, which is a 50 plus years old now. I think this man has downgraded this university to an extent that he actually have lost the entire sanctity of the chair of the vice chancellor. And that's where I think everything is now culminating into this agitation that students are leading. And I do see that this probably is we have probably reached a point of no return vis-a-vis his sustenance as a vice chancellor of university, because he doesn't deserve, and I'm telling it in a very, very unequivocally, that he is not fit to be the vice chancellor of any university, leave aside Central University.
All right. Okay. I just bring in Mr. Rudi Warjri. Sir, you have held such important assignments and, powers and positions over the years as an administrator. You were the governor, in the academic councils also of certain universities. And above all, you were a member of the selection committee where you selected this particular person and brought to the Northeastern University. I'm sure you have seen certain qualities in him and you thought it befitted the university. Tell us about what went wrong ever since then.
When I heard about this particular line from Professor Kma, that is not fit to be a headmaster. It makes me feel very small.
Sorry.
Having part of the committee to select him. But so in fact, today only I just sent a letter to the Shillong Times to clear my own conscience, in fact. Anyway, you'll read it later. But to answer your question, so basically you have to understand the process by which the whole selection took place. It went through certain stages. And the fact was that it also happened during the COVID period. Okay? And the first meeting took place online. The second meeting also took place online. And only the third, the final one, we had it in Delhi, where the final, I think about 30 or 35 were called. After the elimination took place on the basis of age and some other criteria like, not publish enough research and or mentoring PhD students like that. So anyway, the interview was held. Some mostly actually appeared online, and only very few appeared physically. This particular person, if I remember correctly, he appeared online. So there were quite a few impressive interviews at the time. But okay, whatever it was, in this particular case, I don't really remember him, that it struck me by any standard. But anyway.
So he must have had certain qualities academically or otherwise also that you finally, and everybody else also.
You see, I don't remember, because in the earlier elimination list also he was not in my list.
Okay.
Certainly he was not in my list. But anyway, because the chairman of the 3-member committee is from Rajasthan. In fact,
so was his name pushed in later or something?
No, I don't think it was pushed. It was not possible to do that, because definitely when I checked later on, his name was already there. But definitely he was not in my elimination list when I took place. But I think it kept on, because you see what we did out of the about 300 applicants. We shortlisted to about 15 each of us. Some of the names were common. I think about 10 names were commons, but the rest were belong to your list, this list, that list, 3 of us.
Yeah.
So he must have been in the chairman's list only, because what happened when we finally came to 5 names, to be submitted to the Minister of Education, which will finally go to the President as a Registrar of the University. His name was the first one the chairman proposed.
Okay. But then on hindsight today, when you see this, the way the situation is, do you have, would you go back to the same selection process? I mean, considering what is going on, there's so much of angst
One
around.
thing is that I had the name of all the applicants, about, as I said, about 300 of them. At that time, it was this much.
Right.
But then you go through,
Mm.
you take a cursory glance to have an idea, but by any standard, he didn't strike me at all.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, but to cut the story short, to make it sound positive as possible, as far as possible, when he came and joined here, I met him.
Mhm.
In fact, we met
Yeah.
in some other occasion, and then he remembered me, and then we got to talk. And he was sounded very positive, certainly, and he did make some requests to me how to help out the situation. Maybe we can talk about it later.
Right.
But,
Because just today there's an article that Professor Shrikant also published in the Shillong Times did mention that he was actually in the first 2 years doing quite a lot of good work, and then suddenly I don't know what really went wrong. Probably you people can tell us better. But then let me just bring in Kongpat. Kongpat, as Professor Umdor has also said, NEHU has had some big names in the history, right? Professor B. Pakem, then we had Professor Mrinal Miri, Professor David's Aimley. I mean, there are so many multiple names which have, made NEHU the way it was from those earlier days down 50 years down the line. But then it has gone terribly wrong now, and NEHU is on the verge sliding down. Does it sadden you, anger you? What kind of emotion do you feel, and what is, according to you, as being a senior journalist, you feel is going wrong really with this premier institution?
Just one clarification, though.
Right.
Davis Ible has been a pro VC of NEHU, not VC.
Yeah. Okay.
No, from listening to the gentleman from NEHU and from reading Professor Shrikant's article today, one realizes that probably the Vice Chancellor is not functioning in an autonomous way.
Mhm.
Probably there is some pressure on him from outside, because all universities today are under some kind of pressure. They have always been under some kind of pressure from this political party or that. And ideology has crept in, and probably he's trying to, follow that ideological bind, for which he is not free to act. He's not his own person.
Mhm.
And that's why he's sort of lost the alignment somewhere.
Mhm.
He has he has alienated the teaching community. Now they cannot talk to him one-on-one. The students have no access to him. I think a vice chancellor is a facilitator of the entire university. Anyone with some concern must be able to talk to him on a one-on-one basis, and he must be able to address that. So, but the reason I'm saying he is not an autonomous person is because it appears he was compelled to appoint somebody as the registrar, promoting him from controller of examinations when the person was not doing well even as controller of examinations. Then he's been made registrar. And then from listening to students, you hear that he talks down to them. He comes from an army background, so he thinks he's running an army and not an autonomous institution. So these are the problems that need to be unbinded. We need to unbundle them. But to have this sort of a situation where you shut down the university gates and university comes to a complete lockdown,
Yeah.
I think is bad on the students.
Right.
The students are going to be the ones who will miss out important courses,
Yes.
lessons. And also, what are they learning in terms of how to protest, modes of protest? Should we bring the university to a halt in order to get what we demand? That's the question I think that needs to be addressed.
That is what I was coming to, Professor Umdor. In all of this, who is actually losing out? It is the students' community. The new education policy has just been implemented, and it is quite difficult now for the students because there's so many things that they need to do within such a short period. I'm also talking about the undergraduate programs, actually, undergraduate in the colleges also, because they also are not very happy when the NEP was in a hurried way maybe was implemented. So seeing all of that, how much are the student community losing out in all of this?
See, one thing about, going back to NEP, once the issue was resolved, when I took over as the controller in the month of January, all the stakeholders came together.
Mm-hmm.
All the teachers of the colleges, universities came together, and we were able to conduct the exams. In just 1 month of preparation, we were able to do the moderation, setting of question papers, and all of us came together. So that shows actually the strength of the university. We come together, and now the NEP is smoothly running. We are now on the third semester, coming in the third semester. I just want to say that, there are so many good things. As a controller, although I'm not here in that capacity, I often get these certificates, for these requests for verification of certificate, pass certificate. Recently, I got an email from a lady who's very high up in the UN. And she's been promoted to another level, which is quite high in the United Nations, and her certificate had to be verified again. So, in the past, NEHU has produced such a thing, and, even today also, we do have our alumni doing a lot of things. But then, coming back to your question, what Kongpat said is very important. And I'm reminded of the phrase that, cut your nose to spike your face. That is actually what we have to be very careful out here. That, we corner the issue. That is, in terms of who are we against, what is the issue that we're against.
Right.
But at the same time, we ensure that the examination process, the teaching process also goes on. That is a balance that we have to strike somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the help of all the association, at least for the UG, upcoming UG, which is starting from the 11th of November, this Monday, we are on track to do that. So, the association are also aware of that, and they have been, providing me the support, not disturbing the functioning of the,
But what about the students? Are they not nervous really that, here is a situation which is building up?
But we have clarified. We have clarified to them through press notes, and every time it has come, in Shillong Times also. So that clarification has been going. And NEHUTA also, when they went for the strike, they had exempted us. So that understanding now is there in the student and teacher community.
There is a sort of mental disruption.
Yes, exactly.
That's not much in the college, because the college is really isolated. The affiliated college is isolated from NEHU, but it is true for students of NEHU.
Yeah.
Yes, for the 5,000 students of NEHU, we have 80,000 students of affiliated colleges. But for 5,000 students of NEHU, those who are pursuing PG and UG in NEHU, that is true what you say. So that's why I'm saying we need to have, a strategy where you take on the issues that is there, for the sake of the university, for the future of the university, bring back university to its earlier glory. But at the same time, how do we balance this? How do we, also take care of the teaching learning process? Because the students there have a very short period, 2 years, and they'll just go like that. So that is the concern that all of us are having. And I hope that this matter can be resolved.
The fear is that the center is not going to take any position. They didn't take any position on Manipur. So what is NEHU? So if this continues, this disruption continues, what happens to the future of students?
Absolutely, because it is just not passing an exam, so it is also their future. They must be a worried lot, and so many of them are coming from other states of the Northeast. They are just not local students, right? Because NEHU does have a sizable section of students also coming. So that is a worrying fact, and I think that's why also there is a need now to sort things out at the
how do you
earliest.
sort things out? I mean, first of all, you have to look at the issues. What are the issues? Because this has built up.
Okay.
For example, right from the time the Vice Chancellor joined, there was a demand to have a Pro-VC. Okay, to respect the sentiments of the, because one of the contenders, very strong contender for the post of VC was a professor from our state, and she's done a lot of work. And we all know that she was in the, forefront, and, but somehow she didn't get. It would have been a good gesture. And I, as a statutory officer, I keep on meeting the Vice Chancellor, and whenever he brings up the issue, I've been saying that 2 years back, when this issue came up, I'm a member of what you call the Ordnance Regulation Committee. This issue was brought to us that can the Vice Chancellor, he himself said, can the Vice Chancellor appoint PVC. The Act and statutes are very clear. Section 3 of the statute say the Pro-Vice Chancellor can be appointed by the Vice Chancellor subject to the approval of the EC, and then it goes to visitors, so on and so forth. But that has not been done. You see, why the delay for the last 2 years?
Yes.
Okay, what prevents you? Because actually the VC is the Pro-VC. The role of Pro-VC is to assist the VC in administration.
Right.
Many of the issues that have come out could have been handled at that level.
You have about 2 to 3 VC, pro VCs.
Two campuses.
Yeah.
So this excuse now that I've written to the ministry, because I'm very blunt with in the sense
And
that
some are saying it's buying time.
no. It's there's no need. See, you go to the ministry if the ministry is saying that you cannot appoint. Now the ministry cannot supersede a joint secretary in the ministry cannot say you cannot the Act and the statute unless there's a problem from there. Why was there a need to write to the center when the center did not there? And
That's why I'm saying that he doesn't enjoy
the other part of the story is this,
Hmm.
that in fact the center has been pressurizing the university to appoint the PVC.
Yeah.
There was a meeting in which, the ministry people said, why not? Wait. So I've been, just yesterday when he called me for another file, I said that even now, if the demand is pro VC, why can't you just appoint 2 of the, senior people and assist you? But I think now the situation has gone beyond that.
Okay.
It's no longer not about the pro VC. So that is what happens when you
No, but
don't
how-
nip the issue.
Excuse me, how do we know that the pro VCs that are to be appointed are also not from outside the university?
No, professors are usually always from the universities. That's
It has
our
to be.
professors of the university that are appointed. That is the thing. And it helps, if you're coming from outside, you don't know the institution, so many things. It's actually to help the VC run the show. But sadly,
But Sir Lakhon, I would also like to tell you, why is the university ranking falling so much that NEHU doesn't even figure in the top 100 universities? When in today's age and time, universities are competing to build a more their reputations and solidify their position. What is going wrong in that front, you feel?
Indeed, I can give you a one-line answer. Remove this VC, our ranking will improve. To be very frank.
Okay.
Now let's come to the specifics. This we knew, frankly speaking, from day one he joined, we knew, indeed before this 24 ranking came, we knew we'll be out of top 100. We knew. We told him on his face, come to 2024 NIRF ranking will be out. You mark my word. This is what we have told him from NEHUTA. Now, the genesis is how do we get the ranking done? Indeed, today, if you look at university, I think we have no problem as far as publication is concerned.
Okay.
See, I'm looking at the parameters that can fetch us
Absolutely,
points.
yes, yeah.
Publication, no issue.
Mhm.
Project, not much of an issue.
Mm.
Our faculties, training, and going for conferences, regionally, nationally, internationally, no issue.
Right.
The productivity of our students, no issue. The guys who are passing NET, JRF, no issue. Biggest failure is the perception. In perception, I think we got almost nil.
Okay.
And that is where actually, and this we have told him point blank on his face. When he called a review meeting of HODs and Dean to review the ranking, we said that, our perception as NEHUTA about you is so bad. Let's think how people will think outside NEHU gate. In the city, in the state, in the region, in the country. And that's why I see that, this is what defines what the VC has done in the last 3 years. If he has been proactive, and I'm telling you, he is anti-academics. Let me put it that way. I have never seen anything that he has done to facilitate academics. I'll give you a specific example. Projects are run by PIs, the project investigators, and this is done after serious scrutiny by the funding agency. Money is given to purchase whatever you need, including equipments. Now it is between the PI who runs the project in NEHU and the funding agency to govern the project. University have no role whatsoever except to maintain the finance, which has to be as per our GFR rules. Now what he does, he is even interfering on the project expenses that you're doing, which is none of his business. And that's where I'm saying now, how will he encourage young faculty to write for more projects when your finance department, you are telling them that anything more than 1 lakh, the file must come to me. You will never hear a university in the whole country, including state university, where a vice chancellor is looking into your medical bill and fellowship bill. That is not his job. That is the job of a finance department. You have a finance officer, full-fledged. You have the ARs, you have the section officer, you have all the. But now he has made such a dubious kind of system where anything above 1 lakh, the file must go to him. I think we have asked him under which rule. You tell me, why don't you shut down finance department and make your VC's office as a finance department? And that's where I'm trying to say that he is putting his nose on smaller petty things. And when it comes to the academic leadership, he is failing miserably, because so far I can tell you he has not brought any new building in NEHU that includes a hostel. And this problem that students are facing, I'm again give you a very specific example. The Wi-Fi in hostels was a big issue.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you so that you know how he's conducting himself. Before he joined, the entire file was moved. Sanction was done. Only the order has to be placed. When he came, he said no.
What was the reason?
Simply no, we don't know. He didn't. And this is where I think he has every issue that student has taken to him. And I'll tell you, same with NEHUTA. We have given him enough time after his honeymoon period was over. We have given him enough time to mend his ways. We have told this point blank. You function from day one. We have welcomed him, but allowed him to function so that, because we knew he's a new man here, he will take some time. But instead of upgrading his skills, taking senior members with him, appointing good Pro-VC to assist him, and he's a typical, what we call him, narcissist. He fits under the definition of narcissist, because he doesn't want anybody to be called as VC, even if it is Pro-VC. You look at the problem. And he thinks that he will be at par with me. And this also reflects the lack of understanding. Indeed, he is on camera, I can tell you.
It's a sense of insecurity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, he is a blatant liar. I will tell this on camera. I have never seen any person in my life who tells such blatant lie. Leave aside the ordinary person. He can on your face tell lies. And this is where the whole story of Pro-VC, he's only lying. I'm telling you, he has not written a single letter to Delhi. He's only not allowing anybody to come as Pro-VC, because Pro-VC is a member of Executive Council. He's also a member of Academic Council. In EC, if a good Pro-VC comes, there will be check and balance. That he doesn't want. So that he can, in Academic Council, he doesn't get through us because teachers are very strong. In Executive Council, there are 4 deans whom he will bulldoze. And all people that he has nominated as members of Executive Council are his people. And he doesn't want any Pro-VC who is neutral, who is going to say, no, you cannot do this. And that's the reason why he has not appointed, because he doesn't want upgradation of NEHU. He wants to take us to the drain. Next 2-3 VC will find it hard even to come to our level that we had maybe, let's say, 8 or 10 years ago. And that's the situation.
So the NEHU has gone to that
level.
Today.
Exactly.
Right? Quickly, yes, sir.
Okay, no, I just want to take this point from what Professor Kma said about that the only solution to this whole problem is to remove this VC. That depends on how much your demands being listened to by higher superior authorities in Delhi. In fact, but the point I'm trying to make is that the problem may not end there. Why I'm saying this? Because fundamentally, the very selection process, the criteria for selection process, that's why when I was in that committee, one of the main factor, apart from the academic credentials part of it, the main factor which was weighing on me was what, in fact, Professor Sumarbin mentioned earlier about familiarity with the culture, the milieu. And so this is a very important thing. So you just cannot impose from Delhi. If you just impose somebody from Delhi because you like somebody, then besides
the top to bottom approach, I think for the Northeast, in any case, under any projects, under any situation, is not applicable. It doesn't function because we, the Northeast, our situation is far more different.
So I'll just complete. But the point is that there should be no other agenda other than the needs of the university.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So this is academic credentials, sure, all that is required. But at the same time, the factor which I said earlier about culture and the the familiarity with not only here Meghalaya, the entire Northeast, because you have students from the whole Northeast. Okay, so that's very, very important criteria that has to be clear to the selection committee, and not through nepotism or favoritism of any kind.
See, in the past, we had people like Professor C.D.S. Devanesan.
Exactly.
I mean, he was heads and shoulders above several other VCs in several other states. We launched NEHU with a person like that. And how did we come to this point? These are questions we need to ask even as a society. This is not just NEHU's problem now.
Right.
It's the problem of the Northeast. It's a problem of the Northeast MPs. They should also be aware of what is happening here.
Now, just to add to Professor Devinesen, because I got to know him fairly quite well, his understanding of the entire Northeast was totally different. He had prepared himself. And obviously, when he came here, he knew exactly how to go about things.
Right. So that is what I think, the understanding of the situation where you're coming to. Perhaps some homeworks were not done. Lesser known universities or even younger universities.
I disagree with you that homework was not done.
Okay.
Maybe homework was done, but it was meant to turn us into something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because, lesser known universities, in the sense, younger universities like, Mizoram University, Tezpur University, etc., are doing far better when it comes to the ranking situation. But then I want to ask Professor Kma this question. So now, do you think only a local qualified VC will be able to help the situation? Or are you open to any VC now from outside, a highly qualified VC? Or do you only persist on a local person to take up the help?
Yeah, again, it's like once bitten and twice shy kind of scenario. So we got two VCs who were not from, let's say one was actually from a central university. So he knew the rules, so he didn't do much. He didn't harm NEHU so much like this one has done.
Right.
So because he didn't do any appointment in last 6 years that he was here, he didn't do anything.
Yes.
So let's say that
That is also one of the issues,
that
right?
he didn't have any hidden agenda. But this man came with a hidden agenda. And that's where I think maybe time has come that we need somebody who knows NEHU.
Right.
Of course, given a choice, because after Professor Pakem, we never had a local VC. We would like to have a local VC who is competent.
Okay.
That question has to always be local, but competence.
Okay.
Competence has to be there. Otherwise, I think these things will happen again. I'm telling you. So, given a choice, we would say that let's have a local VC who is good. Or maybe he or she, we don't know. But then, if not, certainly it should be from NEHU. Maybe somebody who have spent 20, 30 years here. There are many good people. And I remember, you have never heard in NEHU where teachers are fighting or associations are fighting on local, non-local issue. That somebody is anti-local. I don't think you have ever heard from university. But now as NEHUTA, as Meghalaya Tribal Teachers Association, as NEHUSU, as NEHUNSA, every now and then this word is coming, he is anti-local, anti-Meghalaya. And that's where I think that because they come from a system where he came with an agenda and he is trying his best to make sure that agenda fructifies, but we are trying to resist it. Now, since we have had such a bad phase of 8 to 10 years, because, before even the regular VC came, we had also an acting VC. That itself was a bad phase, to be very frank. So basically 12 years or so. But now, because of the kind of scenario that we are in, we will require somebody who can really uplift us and who knows how to see. Why I hate most about this kind of vice chancellor, not only in this university, elsewhere also. Our honorable PM says, "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas." This man come, it's only me, mera liye, it's like no Vishwas with anyone else except myself.
And
only my Vikas.
Any leader cannot function without taking everybody in.
And because he comes from
he
comes from a system where I'll tell you frankly, he doesn't trust his dean, he doesn't trust his head, he doesn't trust any of his staff, including, let's say, with due respect to the controller in charge. He doesn't trust anybody.
But that comes from insecurity.
Exactly. And he's insecure. And that's what I'm saying. When you don't trust your officials, you don't trust your senior professors to advise you, then it shows your lack of clarity on what you should do as a vice chancellor. And that's what I'm saying.
Also, if I may say, he doesn't have communication skills.
Exactly. That is the biggest lacuna as well, of course.
For a person of that rank, to be able to communicate clearly, concisely, in a way that people understand, especially in this tribal milieu. We don't like people talking down to us. We think we are all equals. So anyone who doesn't understand these basic features, I think finds it very difficult
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
make a footing here.
yes, so we have all understood, there are several problems on every front, be it from the students. There are little issues, if you ask me personally, I think they are solvable actually. A Wi-Fi can definitely be
Exactly.
provided.
No big deal.
No, but what is
yes.
the reason given for not
Yes,
giving
not
Wi-Fi?
giving, exactly.
Probably he's conserving money for something
No,
else.
what about if Professor
Yeah.
Sumarbin could?
Yeah, what
No, you see, as far as
Because we know that there's a lot of resource crunch also in NEHU. That's what we are told.
see, as far as the functioning of the examination department is concerned, where I am the in charge, I've been given a free hand. I have to be honest with that also. And I've been given a free hand not because I don't think so, because it's a trust issue. It's because if you play with the examination department, then the whole thing will come down. The whole university will come to a. So it is a necessity for any VC to give a free hand to the controller, because he is the one who understands, who has to run the system for one like student. So as far as the issue of resources, but yes, I do agree with what Professor Kma is saying, because we have also seen a bit of more of centralization, even in as far as the freedom that is given,
Accumulation.
the freedom that is
accumulation of
given
powers.
to the department to purchase equipments, which as a head of department, when I was the head of department economics, we all had our budget, under capital heads where we could spend as per our thing. But now everything has been, centralized. So instead of a decentralized model, you have a centralized model, which is also affecting the functioning of the university. So there is the way forward is very important for us.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
To know, because what will happen next? Will we if the Manipur model is, is applied here,
Played out,
and nothing is done. Okay, nothing is done. They remain quiet and say that, okay, you shut down, you will be the loser. How do we proceed ahead? Because the future of our students is also
Right,
very important. So maybe at that level, the more than the association, the state government has to come into
It
play.
would be important for the viewers also to understand whether you have solidarity with other universities or you're fighting a lone battle.
No, I don't think so. At this level, the other universities will join, because this is, not about a pay scale. If it's about a pay scale, then, about pay packages and all, then all the universities will come. Here we are on our own. But what I'm saying is that the larger society has to come in now, because that pressure, has
What
to
about
be
the state government?
state government,
In fact,
because
no.
it concerns the student, overwhelming,
Absolutely.
number of the percentage
Right.
of
Can I
students
come
are
in
from
here?
the state.
Yeah,
Can I
please.
come in here?
Yes.
Because I read that there are several problems with central universities all over India. And some of them, they take a lot of time to appoint the VC. And it has a lot to do with the ideological underpinning for appointing the VC. Now, why I'm saying this, because I think ultimately the decision to remove or not to remove this VC will depend in Delhi.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
obviously.
And that is what he has been telling
Will
time
depend-
and again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it will be decided in Delhi. So the message that has to go is to Delhi, that
Exactly.
are you interested to educate the children of Meghalaya, the student of Meghalaya and Northeast, or what is your priority?
Right. And that's
So
why
that
I
has to
just,
be clear.
yeah.
No, and
I
what
agree.
about
Yeah.
what about the governor also?
No, in fact,
Who's the
no,
visitor,
I'll just
right?
complete. I'll just complete. I think, so that is one part of it, the message to go to Delhi. And so the state government has to take interest now in this subject. It cannot leave it to just
For
NEHUTA
matters to
and
escalate
whatever it is.
further. Because
Not
it
only the
has,
state
Escalate
government,
further, the state government
the
should
centre.
take, and perhaps the governor also of the state,
Mhm.
because largely the students who will suffer the most will be the students of Meghalaya and the Northeast. So this
we are also
this
looking
has
up
to be,
to our
there has to be
MPs.
recognized now.
not only the MPs, but more than the MPs, it is the MLAs from the BJP, both of them. We are really looking up to them, because I think that will work much faster if it
Whatever
works. at all.
works.
If
Whatever
that all
works.
works,
No, I think
that is the
pressure
way.
should be
Yeah,
You know,
so
on
Professor
if the
Kma,
message
like
goes-
the situation is, as of now, as we are speaking right now, there's a big agitation going on in NEHU. So what, as a NEHUTA president, what is it that you're thinking? Because things cannot, you
Escalate.
cannot allow it to escalate any further, because things can go easily out of turns actually, and there are a lot of hostile students also over there from other states
It can
of the Northeast.
snowball to
Yeah,
violence.
yeah.
and-
So now how do you bring things to control
Beyond
now.
control.
Yeah, I mean, to be very frank, right now the agitation is led by NEHUSU.
Okay.
And we as teachers and as non-teaching staff are supporting on these causes. But then, the question that we have to ask is, yes, this is an issue that we have to address too, but whether, because frankly, if you ask me, I see him as a person which cannot be corrected at all. That is my assessment, to be very frank. I don't know if he changes overnight tomorrow, because every time there was an issue, we have went to him with folded hands that please undo this. This is not correct.
Okay.
It will snowball into an issue. He delayed, starting from the appointment of, first he did a lot of things, but starting from the NEP implementation. When Academic Council said, no, not from this year, from next year, he went behind our back to say, no, this year. And it went on and on. What I'm trying to say is, he is a person who doesn't seem to be able to correct himself. A typical attribute of a narcissist. And that's why moving ahead, I don't know how exactly things will pan out. But, yes, ultimately it's going to affect the students. And we are worried about that, frankly speaking.
No, but I'm talking about the present situation now, sir. The situation is getting scary.
I know.
And as teachers, as mentors, as educators, we need to now, all of you,
Exactly.
from the university, need to think.
I'm coming there. At least we are there. Since we are supporting them, we are not just there. They are not just our students. They are like our kids. And this is where it pains me. It brings me to tears when I see this is going to be the third night where young kids who are almost age of my daughter, let's say, or maybe your son and daughters, they are actually fasting. And he didn't even come once outside to say, how are you doing? This lack of empathy is something that is not acceptable. Let's put it this way. And that's why certainly these students are very, very wise, I would say. They are not, because they are having support of Meitei Student Association of NEHU, Assam Student Union of NEHU. Everybody has put their placard there to support this cause. And I'm sure there will be, but then, things will reach a saturation point. There will be a boiling point.
Right.
And hence, I do believe that if this Vice Chancellor is listening, he has to take immediate measures. I know he's sending feelers like, okay, I'm ready to appoint PVC now. Imagine this scenario. PVC has become a non-issue, to be very frank, right now. Right now, issue is how to tell our kids who are on hunger strike to please stop this and let's discuss.
But there's a point that I want to come in here. When you say that he has to take corrective steps, now when the demand is for his removal, now what steps will he take if it has come to that?
Exactly.
So that is where, with all due respect, I'm also confused.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming there.
Till the other day, I understood that these are the demands. Now, today I realize that the demand is actually for his removal. All right. So now, in that scenario, can we talk about any other issues, remedial step that he can take when the demand is for his removal?
Exactly.
I just want to put, is there any room or space for compromise?
See, right now, frankly speaking, we started with the demand for removal of the registrar and the deputy registrar who were appointed under very dubious conditions and their lack of competence.
Right.
But then because he didn't address this issue while they are doing hunger strike, naturally students realize that he is actually the root cause of all evil in NEHU right now. So now we want the root cause himself to go. Everything else we will settle easily. Now the only thing is, we know it's not going to be that easy. And hence, I really don't know what they're planning, because the entire scheme of things are being run by NEHUSU. It's not we who are planning how they will agitate. But then they have their own, I guess they have their own planning.
See, the initial demand for the removal of the register and the deputy register, it could have been done following the rule of law, because that is very important. You can't just overnight say that remove, but following the rule of law, how a statutory officer, initial phases are there where you have to ask the person to go on leave, constitute a committee, formally bring the charges if there's any, his acts of omission, commission, whatever. So you could have followed the rule of law and addressed those issues. Maybe you do not have snowball to what we have now. The issue of Prof could have been handled 2 years back, and maybe it would not have come to truth. So the lack of action or inaction on this case has brought us to this. Where now the students are saying, enough of our earlier demands, we are not interested in those. Now we are going for your head. Literally, So that is what has caused this. So that's why I'm asking the question, because, what is the space now for compromise?
Or
Because,
some kind of a
because when you say
negotiation.
that corrective measures,
Yeah.
there's no corrective measures now. As far as student concerned, they're saying that you have to go. So we are at that level, at that position now.
No, not only that. See, I'll just add and finish it. See, his action also has to be, he should speak louder than his words. He has, last 3 nights, he has not come even once to say, okay, I want to talk to you kids, or I want to talk to the teachers.
Essentially, no
Nothing.
leadership qualities.
There has not been any official communication from his side that please come and we'll talk. He is talking to media. He's moving from NEHU to the press club. He is not talking 2 steps. The students are on hunger strike. He is not talking to them. Now imagine with that kind of attitude, can you solve anything? To me, I don't see any solution in
He had a
immediate.
press conference.
Yeah, he went to the
came
press club.
club.
Yes.
But he didn't have the courtesy or the respect, because those kids are like his kids. Same age group. I'm saying, and some of these ladies are getting weaker by the day. And we are worried that things might escalate.
Yes. I think
And he will be solely responsible for this, and probably he is thick-skinned, but I don't think he is thicker enough to withstand these kind
no,
of
but
problems.
at the end of the day, there are long-standing issues, but there are immediate issues also. Now we need to, quell these immediate issues first, I think, and then go to the larger issue. Quickly, Pat, as we are wrapping up, how do you look? How important? Which are the issues now more important? These kids are hunger striking. As they say, they're going weaker by the day. There are some long-standing issues. Now things look very, very messed up and very chaotic.
See, this VC, as I see him, doesn't seem to have any advisors.
No.
So he's acting on his own. And this might be a very new situation for him, and he doesn't know how to come out of it. So I would request somebody like Professor Umdor.
I beg to differ. I mean,
To talk to
I'll be
him.
open. Being a statutory officer, I have to meet him often for functioning, and I've had several conversations. The last conversation I had with him was yesterday evening when he called me regarding the PG examination. After that, he said, how do we move forward? So I said, what I've told you 2 years back, I'm saying the same thing. Pro-VC should have been done a long time back. If you have a complaint against a registrar from primary stakeholders, you could have asked the person to go on leave, not to dismiss immediately. You can't do that. The rule of law doesn't permit that. Even if you make Professor Lakhon Kma the VC, he cannot terminate my service just like that. But you can, within the rule of law, get the process going so that, and wait for
ensure that you're trying to do something.
Trying to
Yes.
And it's not only this, the deans have been giving him,
Advice.
but not advice, but when you ask for an opinion, you give that. But when a person doesn't act, then it's useless. You see, so what you said earlier, maybe that is the situation now. That his hands are tied, most probably.
Yes.
That decisions are taken
no
somewhere
autonomy,
else, and he can't simply move in this. That seems to be the situation now. Because who would like to sit there and being, in that situation? Yeah. Also, this is maybe beyond him also in the sense that,
Maybe he's taking his cue from Delhi.
So as we
and that will be
wrapping up,
very
yeah.
unfortunate. If
Yeah.
that is the situation, it'll be very unfortunate. Because we'll continue to suffer here, he'll continue to suffer. But those who are the power that be,
Pulling the strings.
doing the string pulling, they will not be suffering. So we will suffer as a community, he will suffer.
And I think this is also something that we should realize, right? At the end of the day, who is suffering? I think all stakeholders need to once again come together. Really once again, and this needs to come to an end. So as I said right at the beginning, NEHU was a premier institution. We would like to see we all pass outs of NEHU, and it is located in such a beautiful setting. We cannot let things escalate and go beyond this. And I hope all, the teachers, the students' leaders, and everybody else, as Kongpat said, it is
Civil
just not,
society of
civil
Meghalaya.
society. The government also, who has been a little silent, maybe they should also now react and bring things under control so that things will improve with NEHU, and the students at large will now concentrate for what they have come here to do, and that is their studies and, bettering their future. Thank you so much. This is a very long debate. I know another 1 hour we could have gone on and on talking, but then we need to wrap it up. I thank each one of you for coming to the studios and, discussing this major issue. And I hope things will really, really improve with all the words of wisdom that you've shared. All our viewers, I'm sure they're watching. Many of our students also are watching. Well, it's time that we all reflect, and we really hope there's some wisdom that comes on the management, on the administration, and things gets better. Thank you so much for watching this discussion. And until the next episode of Let's Talk, it's goodbye.